take him to an unheard destination. He gives strange instructions and complex directions that often leads to dark alleys or dead-end streets. This continues on and on until the taxi driver finally gets aggravated enough to turn back to face his client. However, when he does, the stranger is no longer there. Confused, the taxi driver fails to realize that the car he is driving is about to drive off a cliff. By the time he realizes, it'll all be too late.
8 feet tall. Hachi Shakusama, or simply known as 8 feet tall, is a woman who wanders around abducting children. It takes on the appearance of an extremely tall woman and often makes the sound "pull, pull, pull" in a deep male voice. It will appear differently depending on who sees it. Some say it looks like a haggard old woman in a kimono, while others say it's a girl in a white funeral shroud. She always chooses children as her victims, since they are dependent on their parents, making it easier for her to appear as just a relative.
Double bed. According to the legend, if you're sleeping alone, you should never sleep in a double bed. If you do, try never to sleep on just one side. Otherwise, the legend goes, in the dark of the night, while you are sleeping on one side, something or someone will lie down on the floor next to the bed and start sleeping. You will hear deep breathing as you and this ghost or apparition sleep. If you do not get rid of this ghost, later it will get up and lay next to you in bed. The deep breathing sound will be right next to you. If you do not rid the ghost this time, next time the ghost will enter and sit down on the bed while you sleep. You'll feel the bed shake. Then the mattress will start bouncing because the ghost will start jumping up and down on the mattress. And then... sweet dreams.
Kuni Kuni. The Kuni Kuni is described as a long, paper-thin white apparition who is sometimes seen on countrysides or in large open fields. Its limbs permanently sway and wiggle as if there was a strong gust of wind, which is actually where the creature gets its name, Kuni Kuni being Japanese for to wiggle or to twist. The first appearance of the Kuni Kuni was on multiple online Japanese websites in 2003, similar to that of the Slender Man legend. Likewise, people began citing their own encounters with the monster, posting stories and eyewitness accounts online. It can apparently only be seen from a distance, but looking directly at it is said to cause insanity upon the viewer.
Kashima Reiko. Warning. According to the legend, after hearing this story, Kashima Reiko will appear to you within a month. If you want to move on to the next one, you may skip to this time. There was once a woman who lived in the island of Hokkaido, Japan. However, she was brutally attacked by a group of men who left her for dead. No one came to help her. She was crawling for help, but collapsed on railroad tracks before a train came and sliced her in two. Her body was severed from the waist down. Now she wanders the nights looking for her legs, appearing in schools or in people's homes. If you see her, she will ask, "Where are my legs?" The answer is, on the Meishin Expressway. She'll reply with, "Who told you that?" To which you must say, "Kashima Reiko told me that." Sometimes she'll ask, "What's my name?" Do not reply with Kashima Reiko, or else she will kill you. Instead reply with, "Mask Death Demon," as that is what Kashima translates to. If successful, she'll crawl away to ask another victim.
Hikio-san. Hikio-san is a story of a young schoolgirl who is often the target of bullying. Students would write very hurtful comments on her desk and backpack. They would damage her shoes, make her fall on the road, and just bully her in many other ways. At home, her family yelled at her and hit her frequently. Nobody would stand up for her. They were all afraid of becoming the next target. The constant bullying took on a new toll on her physical appearance. As revenge, she's said to scare and capture students from elementary schools and drag them on the floor until they are badly mutilated. The Japanese film of the same name is based on her and on these events.
Cow Head. The Cowhead story is apparently so morbidly horrifying, so frightening, that whoever manages to listen to the complete story will experience fright and nightmares for days. Some theories about its origins are floating around, the most common being that it was discovered in the 17th century. Nobody knows for sure what the story is about. It was rumored to be an unpublished piece from sci-fi writer Sakio Komatsu, but there is no evidence to link the author to the legend. A Ukrainian folktale called Cow's Head does exist, as well as a 2003 film called Gozu, directed by Takashi Miike, but neither of them are connected to the urban legend.
Hanako-san. Hanako-san is the spirit of a small girl in a red skirt who is believed to possess the girls' washrooms in all the schools in Japan. The legend goes that if a person approaches the third stall in the girls' restroom, knocks 3 times and asks, "Are you there, Hanako-san?" a voice will be heard saying, "I am here." You then have the choice of either walking away or opening the door. If you choose to open the door, she'll either be there waiting for you before vanishing, or violently drag you into the toilet and kill you.
No face. Noperabo, or no face, is a Japanese creature known primarily for frightening humans, but are usually otherwise harmless. They are often encountered during the night in rural, deserted areas. They appear to the victim as an ordinary human, or sometimes a person they're familiar with. Then, after waiting for the right time, their facial features will disappear, leaving a blank patch of skin where their face should be. No Face has no real agenda or interest in killing people. They are just mischievous spirits who like giving wanderers a good scare. On May 19th, 1959, reporter Bob Krause reported a witness confronting a woman with a featureless blank face in the woman's restroom. although the witness was sent to the hospital after suffering a nervous breakdown. She survived and was able to give more details. The creature she encountered was later revealed to be irreparable.
The human pillar. As a form of sacrifice, when people were to commit suicide, their bodies would be encased within buildings, becoming guardians of said buildings. This practice was known as Hitobashira, and the most famous example is the Matsui Castle. The castle was built in the 17th century with several walls falling down. As a result, a human sacrifice was sought to steady the structure. Train drivers have reported hearing ghostly noises under the tunnel, which is believed to be the screams of those who are buried in the walls.
The Snake Woman. This urban legend is about a large snake-like creature with the head of a woman, who lurks in shallow pools of water as she preys on fishermen and swimmers. She will paralyze her victims with her eyes and use her tongue to drain you of your blood. In some stories, she can be seen washing her long black hair on shore and will react violently to those who bother her. In other cases, she carries a small but extremely heavy, childlike bundle which she uses to trap her victims from fleeing. Despite her size, she is well hidden, strong, and very fast. Your best chance of staying safe is to avoid walking alone near the beach at night.
Purple Mirror. The story of the Purple Mirror is about a cursed phrase that will kill anyone who still remembers it by age 20. If you'd like to avoid listening to the story, you may go to the time displayed on the screen to skip straight to the next legend. Years ago, a young Japanese girl was given a mirror by her parents. She loved the mirror so much that she would look at herself with it every day. She was desperate to look beautiful, to the point of developing anorexia. She became painfully thin and frail, but whenever she looked into her mirror, she saw herself as beautiful. One day while painting her mirror purple, she began to see who she really was through her reflection, and she was mortified. She hated the way she looked, and she broke her mirror. On her 20th birthday, she was preparing for her big birthday when she was struck by a car and killed. As she laid there dying, her last words were, "Purple mirror, purple mirror, purple mirror." After the funeral, her parents searched her room and discovered that her broken mirror was gone. Rumors began to spread. Some who attended her funeral died under mysterious circumstances. Since then, the phrase purple mirror is cursed, and whoever remembers it by their 20th birthday will die.
Knoll Mask. The Knoll Mask is a mask used to represent a jealous female demon or serpent. They are secured by the wealthy for safety and are mainly used for operas. However, they come with a strange legend that if the mask were to be worn, it will absorb all the negative energy of its host, including anger, hatred, jealousy, and so on. The Knoll Mask is said to be constantly persuading its owner to wear it, consuming more and more of its negative energy until the owner begins to rot. Once the owner succumbs to the mask's power, it leaves to find a new host.
Futakuchi Onna. A Futakuchi Onna, or the Two-Mouth Woman, is a terrifying creature in Japanese folklore. They look almost identical to regular women, except that the back of their head splits apart, forming lips, teeth, and essentially creating a large, functioning mouth. The mouth is said to have a mind of its own, consuming large amounts of food to sustain its host. However, it will whisper spiteful and menacing threats to her, demanding food and causing great pain to the woman. If not fed, the mouth will screech unbearably loud until it gets what it wants. even going so far as to use her hair as serpents or tentacles to grab nearby food. The legend originated as a curse or a supernatural disease linked to women who eat very little, as if saying this would happen to them if they didn't nourish themselves properly. One story involves a man who was so poor he could barely afford to buy himself enough to eat. Fortunately, his wife ate very little, so he didn't have to spend that much money on food. However, the little food he did have began to strangely disappear at night. It's later revealed that his wife has a large, grotesque mouth on the back of her head, which reveals itself when she unbounds her hair. And to his horror, he tried to escape, but the woman's hair, now acting as tentacles, strangles the man to near death. He manages to escape, and the two disappear, going their separate ways, never to meet again.
Himuro Mansion. According to legend, this large mansion exists somewhere on the outskirts of Tokyo. The Himuro family resided within the mansion and lived by a certain ritual called the Strangling Ritual. This involved keeping a girl locked up and completely abstinent from society. Every 50 years, the Himuro family would tie ropes around the girl's neck and limbs, only to pull her apart. The bloody ropes are then said to protect the family from bad karma until the next ceremonial practice. However, one year, the girl captive managed to look out a window and fell in love with a nearby boy. This nullified the ritual, and as soon as the father of the family found out, he went insane. He thought the only way to save his family was to kill them all, pleading that the afterlife is safer than what's to come. The father then ends his own life. No one's quite sure what bad karma would have happened if the ritual didn't work. However, the sight interested the people of Tokyo, and many reported seeing strange phenomenon at the Himuro mansion, such as bloody handprints and nooses. Some say that taking a picture of the window will reveal the ghostly image of a young girl behind it. A total of 7 strange deaths have occurred at the mansion, other than the Himuro family, and to this day remain completely unexplainable. The game Fatal Frame is said to be based on the legend of the Himuro mansion.
Kayeko. Appearing in the Grudge movies and in the Japanese horror film series Ju-on, Kayeko was an ordinary person. As a child, she was often left alone and neglected by her parents. Classmates at school would describe her as creepy or weird. In college, after the death of her parents, which didn't affect Kayeko in the slightest, she met the love of her life, a man named Taeko. They eventually got married and had a son together. A few years later, Kayeko falls in love with her son's teacher. She begins to express her feelings towards him in her journal. Her husband, Taeko, eventually discovers and reads the journal, shocked that his wife might be cheating, or worse, that their child might not be his. He violently attacks Kayeko, eventually snapping her neck and crushing her throat. She survived but was left paralyzed, only able to make an eerie moaning sound. Kayeko died shortly after, and becomes an onryo, Japanese for a vengeful spirit, due to the violent nature of her death. Taeko travels to the teacher's house, killing him and his pregnant wife as well, and on the way back, Taeko confronts the vengeful spirit of his now deceased wife, Kayeko, and she kills him. Now the house they lived in is believed to be haunted by the spirits of the teacher, Taeko, and Kayeko herself, sometimes making the same faint moaning noise she would right before death.
The Red Cloak. The Red Cloak is a legend that goes by many names. Red vest, red cape, red mantle, and so on. They all involve the spirit of a masked man who wears such a cape, haunting public restrooms, or in some versions, primarily women's restrooms. He is said to be handsome or charming, thus wearing a mask to hide his face. If a person were to use the last stall in a bathroom that was haunted by the Red Cloak, he will ask if you want red paper or blue paper. According to who's telling the story, there are a number of outcomes to whatever you answer with. If you answer with red paper, you will either have your throat, head, or hands sliced off until you bleed to death, creating a sort of red cloak with your blood. If you answer with blue paper, you will be violently strangled until your face turns blue. If you're absolutely insane enough, you can answer with yellow paper and have your head forcefully shoved into the toilet you were using, but you will survive. If you don't answer at all, the spirit will simply depart, and asking for a different color or attempting to outsmart the spirit will result in you being dragged to the underworld, the realm of departed souls, sometimes referred to as Yomi.
The Kiyotaki Tunnel. This tunnel was built in 1927 and is supposedly haunted by the workers who died from working there. The workers were pretty much treated like slaves and built a tunnel under harsh conditions. The tunnel is exactly 444 meters long, 4 being an extremely unlucky number in Japan. People report that spirits of the workers can be seen in this tunnel at night. In some cases, they can be seen sitting in the passenger seats within the cars passing by. There's also a mirror inside the tunnel, and if you were to look inside it, you would see a ghost by your reflection, and supposedly, you would die very, very soon.
Kakuri-san. Similar to a Ouija board, Kakuri-san is one of the most famous games in Japan. Mostly played by school children, the game is played to summon spirits and ask them questions. The game, however, isn't as dangerous as the Ouija board, since the spirit summoned, whom the game is named after, is a lot more calm and less dangerous. To play Kakuri-san, you need to on the Torii.
Now the question is, how do we get a
Each
glare
person places
on
their
this
index
puppy?
finger on the coin. Call the spirit by saying, Kakuri-san,
Do we have to empty the water
Kakuri-san,
again?
if you're here, please move this coin. You can ask Kakuri-san whatever question you'd like. It will move the
Checking
coin
out
to
all my
spell out the
angles.
answer. To end the game, you must ask Kakuri-san to leave by saying, Kakuri-san,
I really don't see any
Kakuri-san,
light on that one.
please return home. The coin will move to yes, and then come to a rest on the red Torii. When you are certain Kakuri-san is left, you must
Wait a
destroy
minute,
the
look
paper.
at that.
Either tear it to pieces or burn it. You must also spend the
Jesus.
coin you used before the end of the next day.
What's behind here?
Although Kakuri-san is not as dangerous as the Ouija board, it still is not recommended that you play it.
Oh, I've been
Many
in there
people
before.
can become upset
That's
and
the
depressed if they
lighthouse in there.
receive answers they do not like. Also, always remember that Kakuri-san is a
Okay,
trickster
So we're getting
spirit
somewhere.
and can easily lie to you.
I don't see any light on that thing. But it's good to know that we can use these
Tenomi.
wherever we are.
Also known as the Pale Man, Tenomi is the spirit of an
don't
old
see-
blind man who was brutally assaulted and
unless I
killed
could use
one
this
night by
somehow.
robbers. Before his death, he lashed out in anger, yelling about
down
how
there,
he
too.
could have
What the
defended
hell?
myself if only he could see. Because he didn't get to die in peace, his spirit has returned as a raffle spirit
am I
with
missing
eyes
here?
on the palms of his hands.
as people wear them to protect others from the spread of disease
you kidding
or
me?
bacteria.
What did that just turn
But this
on?
woman will stop wandering children and ask,
Well, that was...
Legend. The entire crew met their untimely death through accidents, and the lead actress, Kiko Matsuzaka, became pregnant with the demon child. Some believe that the commercial will change if viewed during midnight.
Kisaragi Station. In 2004, an anonymous post was made in the middle of a thread called Posts About Strange Occurrences Around You, thread 26. The story goes that a man named Hasumi was on a train to work, but the train hasn't stopped at a station for the past 20 minutes. It usually stops every 5 minutes, and everyone on board is sleeping. This was odd, so he posted online for comfort. He finally arrived at an unheard location called the Kisaragi Station. The other users on the forum have never heard of this location, and neither has Asumi. It seemed completely abandoned, and there were no taxis at sight. He wandered for about 20 minutes and called his parents and the police. His parents couldn't find any information on the place, and the police thought this was some prank. Frightened, Hasumi ran back the way he came, through a tunnel to try and find something, and he eventually came across someone who called for a train and take Hasumi to the nearest location, a hotel in Hina. As the train went up the mountains, Hasumi's phone battery was dying, and his final post was made. He wasn't heard from again.
Dream School. This story is about an endless dream one boy has, which he cannot escape from. This story is cursed, and will cause whoever to learn about it to be trapped within the same dream in a week or so. If you don't want to listen to this story, you may skip to this time. Anyways, the story This story is about an endless dream one boy has, which he cannot escape from. This story is cursed, and will cause whoever to learn about it to be trapped within the same dream in a week or so. If you don't want to listen to this story, you may skip to this time. Anyways, the story goes that this young boy had a dream about being in a school he was unfamiliar with. He ran through the hallways, up the stairs, and turned at every corner, but to no avail. Sometimes he would find himself back where he started from, despite running in a straight line. Other times he would swear he's on the 3rd floor, but after going up the stairs, he ended up back on the 1st floor. This didn't make sense. When, out of nowhere, The boy heard something in the distance. It sounded like footsteps. They grew louder and louder. The boy ran as fast as he can, thankfully finding an emergency exit. However, the door was locked and the glass box that contained the key was smashed in. The key wasn't there, but instead a note saying that it was in classroom 108. The footsteps sounded closer and closer. The boy made it to classroom 108 and searched frantically for the keys. At this point, the footsteps were right in front of the door, and there was heavy knocking. Just then, the knocking stopped. There was a cold silence. The boy managed to work up the courage to open the door. What he saw horrified him. It was several boys and girls, all cut up into pieces. The floor completely drenched in blood. The boy ran off. He couldn't take it anymore.
Okiku's doll. The legend goes that a young boy bought a doll for his 2-year-old sister named Okiku. She loved the doll. She would play with it every day. Unfortunately, the little girl died at a very young age. Strangely enough, the doll's hair continued to grow. The parents believe this was because the spirit of their daughter resided in the doll. Since 1938, the parents decided to hand the doll over to the Manenji Temple. No scientific or theoretical explanation for why the doll can grow hair has been given. It remains a mystery to this day.
Inunaki Village. The Inunaki Village is a mysterious location that is completely isolated from the rest of Japan, creating a lot of doubt as to whether or not it really exists. According to the legend, the village's entrance has a sign saying, "The constitutional laws of Japan do not apply here." And those who say they visited the area reported seeing people commit incest, cannibalism, and murder on a daily basis. For some reason, electronic devices do not work here, and many people who have traveled to find this village have never returned home.
Ro Kurokubi. Also known as long neck, these Japanese women are said to look almost completely human. And for the most part, they live their lives as ordinary normal people. The only difference, of course, being their disturbingly long neck, which only extends to great lengths while they are asleep. It will sneak out the window late at night, preying on small animals or scaring nearby townsfolk. The morning after, the woman will wake up with stretch marks on her neck. The second version of Ro Kurokubi are the Nuki Kubai, also known as the removable head woman, whose heads instead come completely off and float around at night. They're much more dangerous than their aforementioned counterpart, actually killing their victims and drinking their blood like some misshapen vampire. However, these can be killed if their bodies are discovered without the head.
Satoru-kun. Satoru-kun is an urban legend about a game that people play to find out the answer to any question they have. According to the legend, Satoru-kun is an all-knowing Japanese ghost, spirit, or even demon who will appear to you as a young boy. In order to summon him, the following ritual must be performed. First, you need a cell phone, some coins, and a public payphone. Step 1. Insert the money into the public phone box. Dial your own mobile phone number. Step 2. Repeat the following chant. Satoru-kun, Satoru-kun, please come here. Satoru, Satoru, please show yourself. Satoru, Satoru, please answer me if you are there. If everything is done right, you will receive several phone calls from Satoru-kun, and he will tell you that he is getting closer and closer to you. The last time he calls, he will say, I am behind you now. This is when you ask your question. Rules. Do not turn around or try to look at Satoru-kun. Do not touch him. Do not call him if you do not have a question to ask. When he is behind you, do not delay. Ask the question immediately. If you break any of these rules, Satoru-kun will drag you to hell.
Teke. The Teke is the spirit of a woman who was severed in half by a subway train. It's unknown whether she fell off by mere accident or purposefully as a form of suicide. Regardless, after the bottom half of her body fell right onto the tracks, the oncoming subway train violently ran her over at the waist, splitting her into two. Shortly after dying, her spirit manifested in the form of just a torso, dragging what's left of her with her two claw-like hands, creating a teke sound as she moves. A popular story surrounding this urban legend involves a young schoolboy encountering a beautiful girl staring at him from a window. Although he was confused because this was an all-boys school, he didn't mind. The two smiled and waved at each other. Then, the girl leaped out of the window, revealing herself as the Teke. The boy, frightened by the fact that she's missing half her body, wanted to run away in panic. But before he could, the spirit pulled out a scythe and sliced him in half, mimicking her own disfigurement.
Yuki Onna. A popular figure in Japanese literature and film, the Yuki Onna is the spirit of a beautiful woman with long black hair and cold blue lips. She's known by many different names, but is most commonly referred to as the Snow Woman. Naturally, she only appears in snowy or misty nights, sometimes wearing a white kimono or in some cases, completely nude. She'll misguide wandering travelers into harsh snowstorms, killing them. Other stories describe her murderous tactics as more ruthless, breaking into homes or freezing people to death herself. Her pale and at times transparent body makes her difficult to see in snow, with the exception of her face and hair. Also, she's said to float above the ground, leaving no footsteps behind. Some legends even say that she has no legs or feet at all, and if threatened, she can disappear into the mist and not be seen again.
The Red Room. The story of the Red Room is an internet urban legend about a pop-up that appears on a person's computer. The pop-up shows a red door and a voice asks, "Do you like?" It cannot be closed and will simply keep reappearing until finally asking, "Do you like the Red Room?" Clicking the link will also send you through a series of questions before reaching the end, and you will find your name listed within the game. The next day, you will be found dead, and the walls in your house will be painted with your own blood. In 2004, an 11-year-old girl, known as Girl A online, killed her 12-year-old best friend, seemingly out of nowhere. The murder involved slitting the victim's throat and arms with a utility knife. When the police investigated her home, they found the Red Room video bookmarked on her computer.
Suicidal Japanese drawing. Shortly before a teenage girl committed suicide, she drew a picture, scanned it, and posted it online. The picture is supposedly haunted by the girl's damaged spirit, provoking feelings of sadness and despair. According to legend, the viewer gets drawn to the girl's blue eyes. Others swear they can sense her suicidal feelings of anger and sadness within them. The scariest part is that some say it's hard to stare into the drawing for longer than 5 minutes. There are reports of people taking their own lives after trying to do so. It is believed that the picture changes as you view it. There is a hint of a growing taunting smirk appearing on the girl's lips, or a dark ring glow around the girl or her eyes.
The video will. This story details the death of a man named Kai. Free climbing. About half a year before his death, Kai asked his closest friend for a favor. Kai knew his hobby was dangerous and that he couldn't predict if something would go wrong. So he asked his closest friend if he would help him record a video message to be shown to his family in case something did go wrong. The friend accepted, and the message goes as follows.
This is Kai. If you're watching this, then it means that I'm already dead. Koriyami, thank you for all that you've done, and I am sorry for all the trouble that I caused due to my hobby. My parents who raised me and all my friends, you guys are probably sad because I'm dead. Well, don't be. I'm in heaven and I'm very happy. I'm sorry that I couldn't meet with you guys for real, but I swear while this message plays, I'll be watching you in heaven. Ami, your dad is watching you from heaven, so please, don't be sad, but instead, smile for me. Until... Goodbye.
After Kai's untimely death, the best friend played the video for his family at the funeral. However, there was a whirling sound and a black screen that continued for about 10 seconds. The friend was confused, and as soon as he approached the VHR, Kai's form began to show in the middle of the black screen behind a dark background.
I don't want to die. I don't... die!
The video is distorted and hard to hear with all the static. The whole family was in an uproar, with Kai's wife demanding to know what the hell happened. The friend apologized and took the DVD to a shrine to destroy it. The priest saw the envelope containing the DVD and he said, sorry, it's too much for this place. According to him, the moment Kai recorded the video, he was being dragged down to hell. The priest didn't even understand why Kai managed to live half a year longer, when he should have been dead right after that recording.
Tomino's Hell. Tomino's Hell is a cursed Japanese poem that causes illness, misfortune, or even death to whoever reads it out loud. Many have reported feeling uneasy after reading just halfway into it. The poem is about a Tomino who dies and falls to hell. It was written by Yamato Inuiko, in a story titled The Heart is Like a Rolling Stone. The poem with English subtitles goes something like this.
Drop a comment on. I've been busy, if it wasn't apparent, and is usually the case whenever I'm not posting videos for a while. It's because I'm working on other stuff that just needs my attention. So that's what I've been doing. And I'm saying this, which is in the text. I don't know why I keep pointing up there. It hasn't been up there in years. But I came here to say this because I am tired. And I kind of want to share that. Because I haven't been able to share pretty much anything. The amount of work that I've had to put into Iron Lung recently has been probably more than any other project that I've had to do, in addition to having to learn So many different things that I thought I knew how to do, or I had a surface level knowledge of, and I had to expand on that and keep digging deeper. And what's great is nothing is great. It's not great. Long story short, I have been busy, and I'm going to be busy for a little bit longer. I know I've said these words before, and I know that they've lost all meaning, but final stretch, the thing about a final stretch is that it can keep stretching. And that's what it's been doing. And that's what it's been doing to me. I've been stretched very thin. And that means that I just haven't been able to make videos. And that sucks. Like, it just does. I want to say that out loud because we all know it. Like, you know it, I know it. And that's why I said at the beginning of this, like, hold on, I know what you're going to say. You don't need to say it because I know it. But it needs to be said. Right? Like, I'm very tired. I've been busting my ass on this for... it's like almost a year now, and that's crazy. Actually, over a year now that I think about it. That's even crazier, because that's one unus honest, right? It's very, not easy, but it's very simple to reduce things down to 1 year when you know exactly how much work goes into a year of working every day on something. And that was unus honest, and I've been working on this longer than that. Admittedly, there was a big strike in the middle of it, but it didn't mean the work stopped for me. It was just like I got to try to get ahead on some problem solving and try to learn some things and try to get ahead in other areas. And this all ties into something that I believe very intensely, and that has led me to where I am today in terms of making content on YouTube, is that some things are worth pushing yourself for. Some things are worth stretching yourself very thin for. I would not be here if I did not throw myself in headfirst into things that I did not fully understand with all the confidence in the world that I would figure it out. And no, I didn't land on my feet all the time. I landed on my ass, head, and literally everywhere but my feet. But I got through it, you know? You can learn a lot of things about yourself, and you can learn a lot of things that you didn't know you could do. And I have, in this past year, learned a ton of shit that I can't talk about just yet. Except I have. That's the thing. I have been talking about it on Distractable and Go My Favorite Sports Team. If you didn't know, I have 2 podcasts, and I've been keeping up with those regularly. For me, mentally, talking with my friends and being able to have that sense of normalcy when I can't just do regular stuff by myself has been very peaceful, and it's been very nice. And that's part of the reason why I started those podcasts with my friends, is so that I could have a regular means with talking to them. And just getting these thoughts out of my head and de-stressing about the things that have been pushing me. But even now, I can't do that because it is the final stretch, and I have to do so much more. Like, I'm not even close. Like, I'm close to done, but looking at the amount of work, I'm not even close to done. And that's, you know, I mean, it's not good, but it doesn't have to be good to be good later. You know what I mean? That's my philosophy. Part of the creative process is not all sunshine and rainbows, you know. It's bashing your head against a wall, and I've been doing that, and I'm very good at that. If you didn't know me, I'm exceptionally good at that. And in bashing my head against a wall, somehow my skull just gets thicker, and my brain just gets bigger, and my confidence in what I can do grows, but also crumbles a lot. That's part of it too, you know. Just working on this has been a bear. Working on this has been a big cement block tied to each shoe, and then I'm going down in the ocean of blood. But it's fun, or it will be, once I swim to the surface. That's the trick. I gotta swim to the surface. That's the only trick. You're going down, jumping into a new project, that's the easy part.